Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Thank you very much. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. This is a weekly continuation of looking at the salient points in the first chapter. Today we're beginning from text 16 onwards. So it's chapter 1, text 16. If you'd like to follow along. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthira Nakula Sahadevascha Sugosho Mani Pushpakau Kashyascha Parameshvasa Shikhandi Cha Maharatha Drishta Dhumano Viratascha Satyakischa Parajita Draupado Draupadeyascha Sarvasha Prithivipate Saubhadrascha Mahabahu Shankhan Dadamukritha Kriya. King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya. And Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sugosha and Manipushpaka, that great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Krishnadyumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and the others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. Srila Prabhupada makes the point in his purport that the whole catastrophe was due to King Dhritarashtra because he encouraged the policy followed by his sons. The catastrophe has arisen, the battle has come about all because of King Dhritarashtra. And why is that? He had adopted a policy of going along with his sons, everything that they wanted, Duryodhana in particular. There is a lesson here for us as well. We also have the option to be like Dhritarashtra, to adopt a policy that is selfish. And it is a catastrophe, that policy, because it will come about at the end where all our plans and hopes will be shattered, defeated. Because that's the way of this world. It's designed like that. There's a few more lessons in these particular verses that are pertinent to us because they're reflected in the personality of Dhritarashtra. So it's going to come out a little bit in the purport. The next verse discusses that simply having confidence in Lord Krishna gives you great encouragement in the heart. Sagosho dharta rashtrana hridayani vyadhar navascha prithivim chaiva tyamilo pyu pyanu nadayan. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of of the sons of Dhritarashtra. It's interesting, isn't it? The side that is smaller is shattering the hearts of those who are in a greater numerical strength. So this suggests that really one's confidence is not derived from strength in numbers. There is an abiding faith that gives one encouragement. And numbers does not necessarily instill that. So the essence of it is, now here's the interesting point. Srila Prabhupada makes a statement that this is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. But we all come from a very skeptical background. Let's just say that's a very euphemistic term for saying atheistic background. Why Krishna is so significant that having confidence, we don't even know about Krishna, let alone having confidence in him. Why would we have confidence? How many people could be expected to have confidence? They don't even know. So I was meditating on that point, how to communicate this. Actually, there is some significance. Now we all appreciate universally that there is something right and there is something wrong. One person can be right and 100 people could be wrong. We can appreciate that, right? That it's not numerical strength. Just because there's 100 people believing something wrong, still does not make it right. If 100 people were to say it's middle of the night right now, it still does not make it right. One person may say, no, this daylight. It's not yet night. It still can be right. We appreciate that universally, right? That's, in other words, even in China, in Africa, 10,000 years ago, 10,000 years from today, this principle will be valid. However, we should understand a little bit about this idea of right and wrong. When right and wrong does not refer to the personality of Godhead, it's an impersonal understanding. Meaning it's an understanding of the principle. However, all principles have their foundation on a person. This is the point of the purport. That not only that the Pandavas were not deriving their confidence from the idea of being right. They were deriving their confidence from the idea that the personality who is the source of all righteousness is standing with them. That's the point. Therefore, their confidence is greater even than the army that is outnumbers them by 11 to 7. Because it is founded not just on the right principle, but on the person upon whom all righteousness emanates. Now, again, somebody may say, well, that's still a little far-fetched. I still cannot connect it. I was studying, or I have studied, a little bit of Western history. The time when there used to be kings in those lands. So far gone. It's like a bygone age. At that time, people would die for their king. Die for their king. The person upon whom the kingdom was based. You see, it's a very interesting point. It's the person that's important, and not the kingdom, separate from the king. They would die for the king. Later on it became to die for the king and country. But originally it used to be to die for the king, my liege, my lord and master. Krishna is the liege. He is not participating in the fight, but everyone understands he is participating for righteousness. Therefore, everyone is feeling confident. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. So here is the real understanding. People try to understand Bhagavad Gita by minimizing Krishna. And that is the mistake. So those people, they find it, this is all very embellished drama that all of a sudden the greater numerical strength army, their hearts were shattered. But it's not. It's based on this very clear understanding on the part of the army of the Pandavas that with us stands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the source of all righteousness. So it's interesting to make a note that Sanjaya is not simply embellishing the Bhagavad Gita, or that even his partisan. He's actually stating the facts. Moving on to text 20. Atha vyavasitan drishtva dhartarashtran kapitaja pravrite sastra sampate dhanur udyamya panava rishikesham tada vakyam idam aha manipate. At that time, Arjuna, then, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, so after the blowing of the conch shells, after that, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated on the chariot, Vyavasitan, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, Kapi Dvaja, Dvaja means flag, Kapi means monkey, in this case referring to Hanuman, took up his bow, Dhanu Udyamya, and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. So, at this very wonderful setting, Arjuna is about to speak. Now, Srila Prabhupada makes a few points in the purport. That, of course, Dhritarashtra's sons were all disheartened by the arrangement of the enemy's army. But he also says that this is the fifth sign of victory for Arjuna, which is the Kapi Dvaja. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram in the battle between Rama and Ravana. And Lord Ram emerged victorious. The implication is that Hanuman participated, he cooperated with Lord Ram, and all these personalities, they presuppose victory on the side they're going to fight for. Hanuman is on this side also. So this is the fifth sign of victory. Now there were four, which we mentioned earlier, in the earlier verse, that which mentioned, number one, that the conch was Divyo Shanko. Secondly, Prabhupada points out that victory is always with persons like the sons of Pandu, with whom Lord Krishna is associated. And Prabhupada had quoted the Sanskrit Jayastu Pandu Putranam Yesham Pakshe Janardana, Pakshe. Whoever is on the side of Janardana, Jayas, too, there is victory. So, divine conscience being on the side of Lord Krishna, Madhava, that where Krishna is, Goddess of Fortune is. That's the third sign of victory. And fourthly, Mahati Skandane, that Arjuna was on this chariot which indicated that he could conquer on all sides. So this is the fifth sign of victory, that Hanuman is on the flag of Arjuna. So all kinds of omens are there, auspicious omens. In other words, there cannot be any basis for being disheartened or fearful for those who are on the side of the Pandavas. Prabhupada makes another note. Rishikesham. He says, above all other considerations, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. In other words, even more important than Krishna himself being present is the fact that Krishna is available for giving guidance. Rishika Isham, he is controlling the senses of his devotee. Very significant. If we're relying on our own endeavors and our own inspiration, our own ideas, there is some question mark, because our ability is suspect. It's not something dependable. It has flaws. It may be insufficient for the task. However, it all changes if your own senses are being directed by the Lord of all creation. He is in possession of your senses. So, Prabhupada is saying He's giving direction, is the essence of this meaning, of the Lord being in charge of your senses. He is available to give direction. You're not relying on yourself. You're relying on the Supreme Personality of God. Thus, all good counsel was available to Arjuna. So, this has significance for us. That the principle should be that our lives should be so molded that we are working under the direction, the personal, direct direction of Krishna. That's the lesson. The Kauravas, they were not in this position. They lacked Krishna's personal direction. And Krishna's direction is infallible. It has no mistake. So a devotee has to see whether he can mold his life in such a way that he could say that everything I'm doing is by the personal direction of Krishna. Now, once I was in Spain and somebody said, "You're saying all these things, but is it possible today, in this age, with what's going on?" I said, actually, funny enough, the answer is yes. It's just been shown by Srila Prabhupada. It's just been shown. In today's age, a person who is directed completely by Krishna, today, not 5,000 years ago, not 50 million years ago, Vedic age. Today, in this funny world that we live in, it's possible. So, we have to learn this lesson. Now there's another lesson which is to be found behind the word Mahipate. Mahipate. Dhritarashtra has been called Lord of the Earth. Mahipate. Mahi is earth, Pate the Lord. Now, this is sarcastic appellation. It's a sarcastic address. If you remember, in the beginning of the first chapter, Duryodhana was called Raja. He was called the king. And Srila Prabhupada explained it was a sarcastic, because he wasn't actually the king, but he conducted himself like the king. So here, what's happening is Dhritarashtra was never really the lord of the earth. He was simply sitting on the throne on behalf of his brother who was the king. See, so his secretary Sanjaya is saying, "Oh, Lord of the earth, which you are not." This is what's going on. So there's a lesson for us. We have a tendency to think, even though I'm not, that I'm the Lord of all that I survey. You know, I'm the Lord of this house, this finances, this world that I live in. I am the master. And we fell to, so we have the same disease as Dhritarashtra. We fail to consider, what actually am I the Lord of? How long for? And, you know, is it simply in my mind? I'm the only one who's thinking. Nobody else is thinking, you're the Lord. Only I'm thinking. But I'm very sure of this. Dhritarashtra has this exact problem. Now, in this condition, we seek a successful outcome to all our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, our vested interests. So Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay about the outcome or what's going on at the battlefield. In the same way that we're interested, what is going on in my world, the world of which I am the Lord. What's happening to my stock portfolio? What's happening to my career chances? What's happening? What are my opportunities? What have I missed? What have I gained? What have I lost? And we're looking for success. We want to be victorious. So here, in one sense, we're being told success and victory is with Krishna. Even in our life, it's no good thinking about Dhritarashtra. He's a bad guy. Naughty, not good. The same thing is happening in our lives. In my little domain, I'm the master. I'm interested in success. However, Bhagavad Gita is saying success is where Krishna is. I should align myself, like Arjuna, with Krishna. That's the point. Otherwise, I'm predestined by all these, these 5 signs of victory. I'm predestined to suffer defeat otherwise, if I don't align myself with Krishna. The personality, the embodiment of all righteousness, the source of all righteousness. I should seek out, where does Krishna stand? Again, that person said, well, how do we know where Krishna stands? Prabhupada knew. So there's a direct lesson for us. We also can know. Lord Krishna in Kali Yuga, in the form of Lord Chaitanya, we know where he stands. Vyarade Katarika Krishna. That's his side, that's his agenda. If I'm aligned with that, I'm on the side of the success story. So this is the point. We have to become Krishna conscious. Right now, I'm conscious of my world, my domain, my little frog's well, 3 feet by 3 feet. I cannot. But if we align, so Krishna has a plan. We can cooperate, like Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram. Hanuman, so to speak, any monkey at that time could have had his own goals and purposes. Which fruits of which trees to take, where to live, where to put his family. But they all aligned themselves with Lord Ram's objective, to go and fight. So we have to find out what Krishna wants. And Lord Chaitanya says, this is what I want. When we align ourselves, we come in the category of the soldiers on the Pandava side. We become very encouraged, even despite all odds. So this is a kind of pertinent lesson here, that we shouldn't imagine ourselves to be little Mahipate, lords of some figment of our own imagination. And the interesting thing is, the Pandavas, they illustrate the life of a person who has endeavored to always keep themselves on the side of Lord Krishna, no matter at what personal expense, no matter what. And they never regretted it. They never regretted it. They thought it was worthwhile. That their faith was never shattered or even in doubt. They had implicit faith. So it's a pertinent lesson, just from the word Manipate. Okay. Because it has this connotation that we ourselves think in the same way. Text 21. Arjuna Vacha Senayor Ubayor Madhye Ratham Sthapya Mechuta Yavad Eta Nirikshe Aham Yodu Kaman Avastita Kai Maya Saha Yodhavyam Asmin Rana Samudyame. Oh, in fact, so here is the devotee of the Lord who has always dedicated his life to the Lord. He's speaking very affectionately. O Achyuta, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies, Senayor Bayor Madhye, so that I may see those present here. Yavad Eta Niriksheham, I can see, who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. So Srila Prabhupada first of all makes a point about the word Achyuta. The person who is the supreme Lord of everything, he is not again removed and distant from us. He is very affectionate in his dealings with his devotees. So much so, he even takes a junior position in his dealings with his devotees. So Prabhupada says that although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he, Krishna, was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees. Therefore, he is called Achyuta. Arjuna recognizes that. My Lord, you are so amazing. Even in the role of my chariot driver, you are the Supreme Lord, but you have such affection for me that you're willing to even do this. He's glorifying Krishna. And that Krishna has this wonderful attribute. So Krishna's position is never challenged. In other words, just because he's a chariot driver does not mean he's not the Supreme Personality of God. He's still the Supreme Personality of God. He's still the most intimate friend of his devotee, Arjuna. In all circumstances, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada says he's also Rishikesha. In all circumstances, he's the Lord of the total senses. Even though he's taking a junior position, a subordinate position, it doesn't change this fact. He does not always have to be in majesty, high above. he is so wonderful, he can have intimate personal dealings. So Prabhupada says this wonderful statement. The relationship between the Lord and His servant is very sweet and transcendental. So this is a conception of God. Even if people entertain the idea that God may be a person, the idea that He is very sweet and also very transcendental, very intimate, that He can take on the role of a subordinate, it defies everyone's speculations. And yet, here is a vivid example of Krishna showing His affection for His devotee. So, Prabhupada makes a very nice, worth reading. Since He is Master, everyone is under His orders, and no one is above Him to order Him. But when He finds that a pure devotee is ordering Him, He obtains transcendental pleasure, although He is the infallible Master in all circumstances. It's interesting because it's bringing into our consideration for us to think about that Krishna has His pleasure also. It's not all us. He as a person, he also has ideas of what is pleasing to him. And this is very pleasing to him, to take the subordinate position with his pure devotees. So now Prabhupada gets into the actual point of Nidikshayaham, that Arjuna wants to see who has come to fight. He's somewhat surprised. Why is everyone so willing to fight for this person, Duryodhana? It's a wonder. Kai maya sahayodhavyam asmin rana samudhyam. Let me see those who have come, who are very anxious to come and fight on behalf of Duryodhana. So there is a parallel in our lives too. Sometimes a devotee is surprised, why is somebody so bent upon being inimical to them personally? Sometimes it happens, right? We're very surprised. One such surprising dealing was with this person who previously owned the Juhu land. Why was he so impelled to go to such lengths of trying to cheat the devotees? Why? I mean, to a great length. It's like surprising. And a soft-hearted devotee, he actually becomes quite bewildered. It's a shock. It's very difficult. And Arjuna is feeling this way. What's prompting these people? What's the motivation? Why is somebody so impelled? So the point to note right now is that it happened to Arjuna. So don't be surprised. Arjuna, faultless person. His brother Ajatashatru, he has no fault. He has never caused any harm to anybody. But surrounded by inimical people. So a devotee should also be aware that we live in a world which is inimical by nature, envious by nature. They're motivated to see you die for no reason, no gain. They'll go to great lengths. Oh, he's still breathing. Oh, kill him. And you're thinking, why? There you are. There was no reason for Duryodhana to do what he was doing, but hell-bent. Let's see. So we'll cover one more verse, and then if there are any questions. Text 23, Yotsamanan aviksham yaete trasamagataha tatarashtasya durbudhe yuddhe priya chikirsham. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Prabhupada makes the point that first of all, it wasn't a mystery that Duryodhana was a rascal. He had usurped the kingdom of the Pandavas. It was known, publicly known. So the question therefore is, all the people who have joined Duryodhana's side must be like him. Duryodhana was envious, and everyone knew that he's envious. It's not like they thought, no, Duryodhana is a good guy. He has been hard done by. No, they all knew he's a rascal. Number one. And yet they chose to be with him. So Prabhupada is saying that therefore they must have been birds of the same feather. Equally envious. And Arjuna thought, let me see, who are these people that are like this? Isn't it? Sometimes you're interested. Who is my enemy? Why is he doing this? But he's not alone. It seems like it's a big group. 11 Akshahinis worth. So it's a huge group. Running into the hundreds of millions of people. And because the person also wants to know, what am I up against? Arjuna felt the same way. Prabhupada says he wanted to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face. So this is the point. Here is Bhagavad Gita. Here is what's happening, and it has a lot of parallels in our own life. And just remember that the answer to the parallels in our own life is not that exactly how to kill the enemy, but the idea really is how to ensure that I am not Duryodhana. The real lesson is, I am not Dhritarashtra. I am Arjuna. The challenge is really that. Because once you are able to be like Arjuna, to mold your life in such a way that you are standing with Krishna, then you're safe. So now, if in the service of Krishna you have some enemies, so be it. That's the point. That is worthwhile. This, in one sense, this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita being boiled down. But in this context, the one we just studied, which is that it is better to be in the position of Arjuna than to be in Dhritarashtra's shoes or Duryodhana's shoes. That is what we are faced with. We can become like Duryodhana or Arjuna. And the difference between them is not my cause. The difference is to find out Krishna's cause. So in today's age, Krishna does have a cause. He does have a mission, a goal. And that goal and mission is translated in the form of Lord Chaitanya and the Sankirtan movement. When we can align ourselves with that, now we can appreciate Bhagavad Gita in the way that Arjuna is going to experience it. Otherwise, whilst we're reading Bhagavad Gita, our life really is Duryodhana's, because it's full of I, me, and mine. And that's what Duryodhana was. I, me, and mine. So it's not artificial. There's a concrete principle. And that principle is Krishna and what he wants. It's an interesting experience amongst those devotees who lived in the ashram in the early days, that everything was austere actually. There was nothing bodily pleasant. It was not enough prasad, not enough sleep, not enough clothes, not enough anything. But the sweetness came from the fact that you're serving Krishna's mission every day. That's very powerful. It's very sweet. It's also interesting, one funny thing, in very early days, when it was only just 6 devotees who had come to England, the impression in people's mind was there's thousands of devotees in England. Just 6 devotees, every day going out. The impression was the whole country is taken over by the Hare Krishnas. It's only 6 devotees. Only 6. Later on it became 60. But it was only 60. But everyone thought we're being taken over. They're everywhere. So this is the confidence of those. So this is today. This is not 5,000 years ago. This is today. Just 60 devotees. People used to say, oh, I see you everywhere. Is the whole country going to become Hare Krishna? I mean, it was only a handful of devotees. And they're just shaking this entire country. And nobody knew that they didn't even have enough money. But the whole country means people who didn't have money, didn't have clothes, didn't have food proper. The whole country is thinking they're being taken over. So, practical modern day example of what the army of the Pandavas was feeling. Thank you very much. We will carry on tomorrow with Sanjay Uvacha. What Arjuna actually starts to say. Are there any questions? Can you pass the mic?
Well, you were speaking about, like taking shelter of Krishna, becoming part of the camp of the Pandavas. And later on, as we know in the Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna that anyone who takes shelter of me, be they of lower birth, Vaishyas,
Mami Partha Vipasha.
Right. And I'm just trying to reflect in my mind, and we see like so many examples, like for example Arjuna, he's a Kshatriya, he got Krishna's mercy. Nanda Maharaj and present to Vrindavan, Vaishyas, they got Krishna's mercy. So many, lady devotees, Queen Kunti, they got Krishna's mercy. Can you maybe speak of any Shudra, that got Krishna's mercy? I know Vidura was, he was part Shudra and part, Brahman by birth, but I'm wondering if there's any examples that come to mind.
There is an example of when the Lord went to Mithila. He and his sages both divided into two, double. One set of Krishna and the sages went to the king, and one set went to the house of actually he was a Brahmana, poor Brahmana, sorry, not a Shudra.
Shrudadev. His name was Shrudadev.
I'm sorry, what?
His name was Shrudadev.
Yeah, but he was a Brahmana.
He was Brahmin.
Yeah, not a. I was just thinking of his poverty rather than his caste.
Very simple.
When the Lord went to Mathura from Vrindavan, there was the clothes person and there was a person who gave flowers. The flower person gave willingly. The clothes person, he had to be decapitated before he parted with the clothes. But in essence, Krishna, I was just hearing a lecture by Prabhupada. Prabhupada said he not only has no difficulty in dealing with all the different varnas of human population, he has no difficulty in dealing with different species. You know, he will come in any species, you know, of life. For Krishna, there is no difference. And he will relate to every one of his parts and parcels in any form and every form. Just today I was listening to his class. So even though there's a little shortage of examples, see, one thing we have to understand about examples though, they are given with a view to imparting lessons. Not so much to enumerate the fact that Krishna has dealt with the whole cross-section of society. So mostly they deal with Kshatriyas actually, because of the fact that they have the responsibility of managing society. So the Lord is dealing with the Raja Rishis is usually more emphasized. Even is dealing with Vaishyas, not only Shudras but every other, because it's not so pertinent for learning any lessons. It's just personal dealings. So that's the real nature of all these examples. They're to impart certain lessons to us. Because that question is there, right? Why this Maharaj, this, Raja, this, again and again, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, all kings, is there nobody else? Is the domain of the devotees only amongst the, but it's only to teach us, the leaders, by the example of other leaders. That's very important.
Kupja was there also. Kupja must have been in the category of Sudra or something lower, I don't know.
Yeah.
Kupja was a prostitute.
Sorry if it's not a fully satisfying answer.
No, very.
Are there any other questions, sir?
Krishna. Hare Krishna. You just said that the world is inimical, but everybody wants to kill the other, everyone wants to kill the other one. But definitely there is some good part in the world also. If it was absolutely everybody wanted to kill everybody, the world would not survive. Something good also must be there in this world. There are some good people, like you can say the Emil Krishna Consciousness people now, as we are explaining.
Ramananda Prabhu, at that time he was Swami, he gave a lecture in Bhaktivedanta Manor. He said, the world and ISKCON is not going on because of us, it's going on in spite of us. So it's not because there's some good in the world, it's despite the fact there is inimical attitude. Everyone wants to kill everybody. Still it goes on. That's Krishna's amazing arrangement. Actually, there's, in the material condition, the material condition is explained in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He is my enemy, I killed him. He is my enemy and I will kill him. He's only thinking of killing. He is a vicious little, the thoughts in his mind, it's best everyone doesn't know what they are. They're pretty, But in spite of that, world goes on.
Like 11 to 7 you said. Or 11 to 7. So 11 bad, 7 good people are there.
Yeah, but the point is, that's to illustrate the devotee. The devotees don't try to do it to be good in the world. They don't. So it's not because of that also, is what my point is. My point is that even if you have only the 11 who would only love to kill each other, still things will go on because Krishna's arrangement. And really Krishna does do the killing anyway. Kalos me, death I am, time I am, come to devour everyone. So
He comes to take care of them.
he takes care, that's the point. He takes care. It's okay. You have a question? You want to pass the mic? We should guard against moral equivalence. That if there is this, there must be also that. It's not always the case. Sometimes it is all bad, only bad. Nothing, no redeeming quality. But Krishna is so good that he can make it still carry on, even if it's full of only bad people. That's Krishna's glory.
I just had a comment about the point you were talking about Krishna enjoying being the subservient position. And I was reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita how Ramananda Roy is actually an expansion of Arjuna in the future birth. And very interestingly, Krishna in that form of Lord Chaitanya took instruction from Ramananda Roy. So it's like the switch of Bhagavad Gita, but Krishna also enjoys being the student. So
Yeah. Role reversal. Any other questions or comments? Mataji? Would you like to? It's always nice. You're one of the auspicious omens, the 5 we have in Vrindavan. Might as well take advantage of it.
Oh, you, actually, I had a comment, but I forgot what I was going to say. You just, I can remember what it was. It was right before you were speaking. And then you made a comment. What was the comment? The girl will go on. Display.
11:7. 11 bad people, Krishna and glory.
I don't know, sometimes you find, even in our temples, it doesn't organize itself into everybody going in the same direction. But somehow or other, Lord Chaitanya is so powerful that the movement still goes on.
That's exactly what Brahmananda Prabhu was referring to. The movement. He said, not because of you, but in spite of you it's going on.
I've seen so many things in the last 40 years that it's definitely a proof for the existence of God, because first of all, Prabhupada he didn't begin with talented, people who were coming from the corporate world, who knew how to do things. He began with the ruffians and the misfits and the dropouts, and he created an entire movement. So
Would you like to give them more nice description? It's like Ruffian dropout. Is there anything more left? That's a good point, yeah.
So it's not, it's not that everybody has immediately improved their mentality by moving into the temple or starting devotional service. It's a very gradual process. You may be surprised that even after 40 years, it's still a gradual process for all those people who are still hanging on somehow or other because they had some kind of taste. But it's still a gradual process. For some people it's more gradual and some people it's less gradual. But the tendency for thinking that everything is me, mine, and even in the sense of when devotees talk about how Prabhupada said, your love will be shown for me and how you cooperate. But they always forget the last word, which was together. So the word cooperate sometimes means you cooperate with me, but I don't have to cooperate with you. So even in our society, sometimes we misdirect ourselves. Eventually the thing goes in the right direction because Krishna is in control. And there isn't a certain amount of surrender. The devotees have definitely, a certain sense of surrender. It's just that conditioning is very strong. So that's why it's so gradual, because the conditioning is so strong. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Srila Prabhupada.